webinar. No recalls, all cheers. Label verification made refreshingly simple from Grantek. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Unfortunately, not here, so I'll be cheersing with just a nice bottle of water here. But in today's webinar, we'll discuss how beverage manufacturers can protect against packaging mishaps through automated inspection systems, strategic planning, and leveraging seasonal downtime for system installations. We appreciate everyone joining the webinar today and value your time. So let's just start with a few quick tips to get the most out of your time with us today. First, we encourage you to take notes, digital or analog. I'm a digital guy myself, but the tried and true pen and paper, always works well as well. Also, please use the chat feature. We love interactions and questions. We'll have several poll questions throughout, a couple coming up here shortly. So please participate in those as well. And finally, remove any distractions, put those hamsters away, or in my case, close your door so your dogs don't come flying in and wrestle each other in the middle of the presentation. So I'll let my colleague Fabio here introduce himself.
Okay, welcome everyone to this webinar. My name is Fabio. I work for Grantek as an operations manager. I have a little background in the beverage industry and food as well. So hopefully today I'm going to be able to explain a little bit about how Grantek can help avoid recalls and quality issues.
Awesome. And yeah, my name's Cole. I'm a sales engineer in the Grantek Smart Packaging Group, specialized in delivering automation solutions that help food and beverage manufacturers eliminate packaging errors, reduce recalls, and ensure product quality throughout their packaging operations. So Fabio and I work pretty closely together, but together we bring some technical expertise as well as operational experience to help solve your packaging challenges. For those of you who may not know who Grantek is, we are a systems integrator and business solution partner with over 40 years of experience. We're approximately 200 employees strong, delivering solutions across North America. One of our mottos is from the plant floor to the boardroom, because we understand that automation decisions impact everyone in your organization. We provide comprehensive services, including automation, electrical design, smart manufacturing, industrial networking, just to name a few. What sets us apart is our total solution approach. We don't install equipment and walk away. We guarantee that your manufacturing facility, line, or process will be skillfully designed, professionally engineered, and executed for a great vertical startup. Just to highlight some of our locations here. So we're spread across North America. Our main offices and panel shops are strategically located to serve you wherever you are. From Vancouver to Miami, Los Angeles to Montreal. This geographic spread means that we can provide local support with some global expertise as well. So ensuring that no matter where your facility is located, we're there to help. So we have our first poll question here. Who are you and what is it you do? This is just helps us understand who our audience is here, who we're talking to today. Whether you're quality engineering operations or a contractor, this information is going to apply to all of you, but this is just to give us an idea who we're talking with. So yeah, there should be a poll up there. We'll give it a few seconds here for some answers to roll in.
Yep.
Awesome. Got some quality people. Perfect. Some engineering capital projects as well. Some other, okay, and and operations as well. Awesome. No, it looks like we got a good mix of people actually, so that's great. Okay, we got one more poll question here. What's your biggest packaging related challenge? New regulations and requirements, updating packaging and the process of doing that, OEE, the cost of quality related to things like recalls, or other. You should see this poll pop up again. And this is really the heart of why we're here today, where all these challenges are sort of interconnected, but understanding some of your primary pain points is definitely value to us to help us kind of tailor some of our presentation here. Okay, so yeah, definitely see an OEE, quite a few of those, and same with
Yeah,
cost and quality.
cost quality.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yep.
Okay. No, this is good to know. Awesome. So I'm just going to brief over a quick agenda here. So first up, we'll talk about protecting against change, how to keep your operations protected in a changing marketplace, packaging recalls and customer complaints, things to consider, common points of failure in the beverage industry. So we'll look at some real situations and some real, problems we've seen in the industry and solutions to deal with them. We'll talk a little bit about seasonal downtime and how to leverage that, and then we'll go over a summary with some key takeaways, with some time to answer some questions as well. Okay, so let's start with the reality of change. Packaging standards are evolving rapidly, driven both by internal and external factors. Internally, companies are raising their own standards to protect their brand, avoid customer dissatisfaction, and prevent recalls. The cost of a recall isn't just the immediate expense, but it's also the long-term brand damage that can take years to recover.
Yep.
For example, a lot of our customers we see are proactively adding 2D barcodes alongside their traditional UPC codes. The 2D barcode are tied directly to specific material packaging versions rather than the product itself. So this enables verification of not only the correct product, but also the exact versioning of that package, which is pretty critical for regulatory compliance. It also allows verification of certain packaging materials that might not have had any kind of barcode identification previously, and that were a lot harder to verify on the line. Externally, we're always seeing regulatory changes. Some to note here, GS1's Project Sunrise 2027 is mandating the transition from traditional UPC barcodes to two-dimensional barcodes like QR codes and data matrices. This isn't just a technology upgrade, right? It's a fundamental change on how product information is encoded and verified, requiring updates to both your packaging design and inspection systems, like we'll talk a bit about today. This initiative is driven more so by retail requirements right now, ensuring that point of sale systems are have the right capabilities to do so to scan these two-dimensional barcodes. But this will likely translate to manufacturing requirements soon after. Another one to note is the FDA set their uniform data compliance for January 2028. They do this every couple of years. So essentially, any regulations that come out between now and December of 2026, you'll have to comply by the date of January 2028. One of which to note would be, and this is still the details of this are still being ironed out, but front of package nutrition labeling requirements are coming down the pipeline. So the key message here is that change is coming, whether you're ready or not. The question is, are you going to be reactive or proactive about it? So the question becomes, how do you shift from a reactive to a proactive approach when it comes to these inevitable packaging changes? First, a recommendation of ours is to always monitor news from regulatory agencies. Don't get caught off guard by new requirements. You can set up alerts with a lot of these, the websites that a lot of these regulatory bodies have. Subscribe to industry publications is another great way. But here's a critical part is not just to consider the regulatory timeline, but also your operational reality. So factor in how long it's going to take to align all of your internal groups, that'd be marketing, quality, operations, procurement, everyone that's involved in and has a stake in packaging changes. Also account for the operational changes required. So you might be making packaging changes that directly affect, things on the floor, like packaging equipment, inspection procedures, operator training. So you got to factor all of that into your timeline. Secondly, build a streamlined packaging and label approval workflow that brings together, marketing, brands teams, packaging designers, printing vendors, operations, all from the start. This cross-functional approach will ensure that all perspectives are considered and reduce any bottlenecks when these changes are needed. So, marketing is going to make sure that there's brand consistency, consumer appeal is there, Your brand teams are going to protect that brand integrity while maintaining any kind of identity standards. Packaging designers, these are the teams that actually make the changes to the packaging and create the graphics. So you need their input from a technical perspective. Printing vendors, they'll help confirm the technical feasibility, right? You want to make sure that when it comes to actually printing these graphics, you're not going to run into any like technical hiccups in doing so. And then finally, a big one is operations, right? So making sure that the on-floor equipment is compatible with these packaging changes, and the changeover complexity is taken into consideration as well. So remember that updates can take months to propagate from initial design down through manufacturing and implementation. So while your process needs to be flexible, it also requires some foresight and early planning to meet those regulatory deadlines, and then obviously avoid costly rush scenarios. And then finally here, and this is kind of an area where Grantek specializes, but leveraging technology for change control and verification. So once changes are made, packaging changes are made, you need an operational way to ensure that the latest packaging is on the line. So that includes things like automated inspection systems that can catch errors that human inspections might miss. And so we'll be talking a little more about that in this webinar here.
And just to talk a little bit about this as well, Cole, it's just like definitely Grantek can help the three steps, but regulatory agencies, like we have some experience with other customers that we can jump in and help them out in terms of like be up to date into these requirements. And then the third one is like technologies on the field. So we are in many industries, and we are seeing what's the best technology for each niche, and then we can help on that side as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about where the things can go wrong. So a lot of things can go wrong in a package manufacturing environment. So we're gonna start talking a little bit where things can go wrong, and then we're gonna go after like a little bit more specific for the beverage industry. So in terms of packaging errors, we classify it in three main categories. So basically, first one is like vendors. So if you receive like a mixed package, or if you receive a wrong label or a wrong print into your package, you're kind of out of options there, and you're gonna have like a quality issue or hold or a recall in the worst case scenario. So another really important item here is the operational errors. So if your operator is following a procedure during a changeover, and then is not following that correctly, or didn't have like proper training on that part, so that's a mistake that can happen, a mistake there. And then especially based on my experience, especially when the changeovers are happening on the shift changes, that's a high possibility of that things the error to happen. So, and then the third one is the machine failure. So sometimes we have labelers or cartoners or something that can fail, and then your package it's out of the door without like a proper label, proper barcode that can identify your packaging in the market. So mislabeling finished goods, double labeling, wrong placement, etc. So it's one of the examples that we have here.
And we see a lot of cases where an inspection system or something to that effect is installed for one purpose around machine failures, but soon realize that there's other purposes that same vision system can be used for, whether it be to detect mislabeling and things like that. So just something else to note there.
Yep, you're right. So just another pool question in terms of how would you best describe your facility approach to packaging quality issue prevention? So do you think your facility is in the reactive way and then just to be honest, this is not like a problem here. Like we'd like you to be honest here. And then it's basically the reactive is just like you're facing an issue and then you're fixing after the fact. And then the second option is the preventive way, so you're trying to do something prior to the mistake. And then the projective way is just basically trying to analyze some data or real-time monitoring just to take an action prior to a mistake happen. And then the fourth one is not sure. So let's see the results here. Okay.
Definitely, and just to note too, be honest here. No judgment. It's the case in a lot of customers cases where most things are reactive a lot of times, right? Like there's some preventative measures out there, but we do see a lot of people doing the reactive approach, and that can just be the reality sometimes. But it is key to definitely kind of identify where you are and be real about it. So.
Great. So we got some results here. So most of reactive, but we have some preventive as well. And then looks really good here. There's one predictive. So that's nice. So great results. Good to know. Okay, you can go to next. And then basically now we're gonna talk a little bit about like how we can mitigate these errors, right? So we already talked about how, like, what possible errors that can happen, and then how we're going to mitigate this. So first one is the automate printer control. It's like a preventive way. So you just want to make sure that all your printers in your line are printing the correct information, let's say after a changeover. And then this can be like a different ways, especially in the beverage industry. Sometimes best before date is in different language, or if it's a requirement to have in a specific format. So sometimes the operator got confused in terms of like how we're gonna be doing that, and they have to follow the procedures, and sometimes the procedures are not clear, and then it can be like a possible mistake there. And then this is a good option on how to prevent that. The second one is an automated inspection system. So basically, it's a real-time package verification, and then they can have like two options: one with rejection mechanisms, and the other one is having like some kind of line stoppage interlocks. The third one is smart line changeover procedures. So it's also a preventive way. So I'm not sure if you guys heard about the expression "pokayoke." So basically, it's a lean manufacturing expression, and then basically it means that it's like try to make the process impossible to things to go wrong. So an example that I have here is really like easy to understand. Is basically a USB plug that you can only fit in one way. So if you try to fit in the wrong way, you're not gonna be able to plug in. So and it's the same for for example, like a filler. If you're trying to bring a liquid of a beverage, and then it's not the one that it's right. So there are systems in place that you can put it on that is not going to allow the pump to operate, or it's not going to allow the valves to open. So some examples on that part, the smart line changeover procedures. And the last one is system monitoring and alerts. So, and this is like preventive and predictive. So this can be like monitor your systems to catch problems before they cause errors, and then predictive when maintenance is needed. So we act before it breaks, kind of approach.
And what we see oftentimes there is people with systems like an OEE system of some sort, for example, where they know certain SKUs on a certain line are, troublesome, maybe because of the type of packaging material or something to that effect. And they can be predictive about it. They can, know that ahead of time, and maybe it's needing to put more resources or something on the line to help address that issue, or having maintenance on standby, ready to deal with a certain issue they know about. Key thing to remember.
Yep. Moving here to the benefits of having an automated inspection system. So the first one, obviously, reduce line downtime. So you can imagine when you're in a beverage facility, like for example in a can line, um, imagine your operator loading a wrong pallet of cans into your depalletizer, and then all these cans go into the filler in like overhead conveyors, and then how, as soon as you realize that the cans are wrong, how are you going to be able to offload those cans out of these conveyors? So um, it's something that for sure is going to reduce your line downtime. You're gonna have like a lot of results in this matter for sure. The second one is decreased labor waste. So yeah, I think it's kind of related to the line downtime, especially because when sometimes we have mistakes on the line, they decide to run the wrong product and then put the product on hold and then have the rework later, and then you are kind of wasting your labor doing that. So another example that I add here is basically just to take like 10 finished good pallets of like a beverage. Normally takes less than 20 minutes. And then imagine to rework like changing cartons for all these 10 finished good pallets is going to take at least days. So it's something that some examples that how automated inspection systems can help you to better manage your labor. And the last one is basically improve continuity. So it's kind of related to labor as well. So with um, like no need of for extensive training on error prevention procedures, like few issues with new operators, and less concern about labor scheduling problems. So you're going to be able to move operators around whatever you need. It's going to be way easier for you in terms of managed training and managing where they can work on. Okay, so now we're gonna let be a little bit more specific on the beverage industry. So we're gonna dive deep here in terms of like the main equipments that we have in the beverage industry, and then work a little bit more um, on each point of failure, and then how automated systems can help to mitigate these issues. So the first one here is the can line. So on the can line, you have like a depalletizer, filler, packers, and then these packers can be like a shrink wrappers, tray packers, cartoners, and then UPC labels and palletizer as well. So for bottom lines,
And
it's
just to highlight here too, Fabio, sorry. Yeah, these are, machines that within these different standard kind of line formats you see within the beverage industry that are where different packaging's introduced, right? So that's kind of where we're taking a focus on this, is because these different points of where new packaging's introduced, that's generally where you want to, have some kind of inspection system to make sure, that it's correct.
yeah, yep, you're right. And then the second one is the bottom lines, right? So labelers are like a big point of failure. Packers, UPC labels, and palletizers, same as the can lines. And then the keg line or bag in a box, depending of the industry, is like labelers and palletizers. And in pouch line, that's not very common. Not all the sites of beverage have, but some of them have. And then something that is trending up in the market. So we thought like it was important to mention here is basically the points of failure, like in case labelers and palletizers as well. Okay, so now, yeah, we're gonna deep dive on each of these equipments. So basically the depalletizer, when you're talking about the can line, so we have these depalletizers, so point of failures. Basically, operator can load the wrong pallet of cans, can load the wrong size, the wrong version. Um, could be like a mixed cans from supplier, and or like operator can put like a partial pallet that have like mixed cans as well. So how the automated systems can help. So for sure, like one of the examples here in the picture, when the operator loads a pallet into the depalletizer, we can have automated system that can scan these scans and make sure is the right can according to the schedule. A second point of inspection is just to try to catch these mixed cans. Is another possibility to scan each single can go into the filler. So that's the way that we can use automated inspections to avoid any mistakes at the depalletizer.
Absolutely, and there's some technical challenges that come with that that we've definitely experienced from doing some of these installations. One being can orientation. So when you have these pallets coming in, you have cans oriented all which way. So sometimes what you're scanning generally is barcode. Sometimes that's facing outwards towards a camera or towards what the human eye could see, right? Sometimes it's not. Something that needs to be considered. Also, as Fabio was talking about, there's going to be multiple layers to that pallet, and therefore and multiple columns as well, right? So there's going to be multiple cans essentially in the field of view of the inspection system. So you need to make sure that you're selecting an inspection system that can scan multiple different products at the same time. The other thing to note here, right, is you're not going to be able to see every can in the pallet, right? You're just going to be able to see kind of what's visible to the human eye to be able to scan, which is great for preventing, as Fabio was mentioning, this pallet getting unloaded with being the wrong SKU and then having to get reworked down the line. So it's basically preventing you from loading the wrong pallet. But sometimes you get mixed cans in the pallet, individually that 99% might be okay, but 1% for some reason from your packaging vendor is incorrect. And that's where like a downstream inspection, looking at single file cans might be of more benefit if that's a problem that you've had, to actually scan every single can as it flows downstream. But this is definitely a great way to prevent rework, I would say.
Yep. Great. So moving to the filler. So the main point of failure, like obviously wrong liquid, wrong fill settings. So if it's like low fills, and then wrong lids or crowns. These errors can like result in catastrophic issues. You have to rework many pallets, or have to scrap many pallets because of this serious quality issues. So where automated systems can help in that specific point for the can filler is like if it's verifying the liquid, like through like color detection, for example, confirm proper fill levels using an X-ray, something that we have in the market, to use like X-ray detection just to make sure the fill levels are right. And then we have some inspection systems in terms of like cameras or scanners that can validate the crowns and lids in real time as well to prevent, cross-contamination, batch integrity, and all these products moving. Like we were able to catch this when that happened, instead of like moving the product downstream and then having to rework that part.
Definitely. And some of the challenge we see, installing systems of that sort in fillers is you're usually dealing with like a full wash down environment when it comes to fillers, right? And temperature swings even, right? So
we
when it
have
comes
like
down to,
sorry, Cole.
No,
Yeah, we have like chemicals like CIPs, caustic, acid. So it's a very let's say dangerous environment. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that just means when it comes down to like where you're putting systems, you need to think about hardware selection, right? Like if you're going to be right in the way of washdown, and your systems aren't washdown rated, then potentially you need to think about enclosures and specific types of enclosures. If you have crazy temperature swings, you don't want to have condensation and stuff on the inside of the enclosures. So it's for sure some considerations around that kind of critical environment. The other big thing to consider with fillers is you're dealing with super high speeds, right? We're dealing with rotary fillers that can get upwards of 2,000 ppm in some cases. So there's a lot to think about there when it comes to hardware selection. You need to make sure the hardware can keep up with that. not just the whatever it is, a barcode scanner, camera, photo eye, not just that, but the interconnection of your systems, right, and how they're connected to one another. You got to think about if it's over Ethernet, is that going to be able to support that speed, or do we need to think about using discrete I/O instead? Just all considerations you need to make, and challenges that need to be kind of identified ahead of time so you can pick the right solution.
Definitely. Yeah, and the next one here is packers. So packers can be applied for can lines and bottle lines, but basically points of failures, like wrong cartons, trays, leftover cans or bottles from the previous run, and then this is like something that is very common, especially as I said, like on the shift change. If they're doing a changeover, that can happen if you don't have like an automated system to catch that. Illegible barcodes, wrong printed barcode, wrong printed information as well from suppliers. Automated systems, as I said, can help, having like inspections, live inspections on the packers, and then able to catch or reject whatever the packer, the wrong packer it might happen.
Yeah, and when it comes to some challenges we've seen out there in the field, oftentimes these packers are set up to handle a variety of different packaging sizes. So you're dealing with some smaller cases, some bigger cases. So that really needs to be thought about. Another thing is the packaging design. So different brands will have different color schemes, different just graphics on the packaging in general, and oftentimes different barcode locations if that is what you're scanning, or code dates if you're looking for certain code dates, right? They might end up in different areas. So it's really taking a holistic approach and making sure you're looking at all of the possible packaging graphics, that could potentially run on that line, and selecting the right hardware that can, if we're talking about cameras, has the right field of view to see all of those different variations, or maybe you need multiple to deal with the number of packaging variations that you have out there. Another challenge to consider is around keeping things clear for operators and maintenance. Oftentimes these cartners and packers jam up frequently, right? And then jams need to be cleared and things. And the jams could cause issues if there's equipment too close, right? So you want to make sure the way the system's installed isn't preventing operators or maintenance from kind of doing their duties.
Yeah, one other thing to mention there in the packers, Cole, it's there's a trend right now of like having promotion cartons. Like for example, you have like a carton that is it's supporting the baseball local team, and then we have to take this in consideration as well when we're doing the automated inspection system, just to make sure we account for that, and then we see all the variations.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that goes back to like reviewing all those graphics, right? You want to make sure you're getting the full picture. You can't leave out stuff like that, because of that small little detail that's different. It might, throw off the system altogether. So
Sure.
Good point.
Okay, moving to the next one here, UPC labels and then palletizers. So very often in this industry, these beverage cans or bottles are packed in a tray, and then there's like a shrink wrap for the pack, and then also like a UPC label on top to identify that package to the final consumer. So that labels are very critical, and especially the barcodes are very critical to be legible. So the points of failure here, like wrong label, wrong package, missing label, barcode not legible, as I said, and then a mispack as well. So like missing a can or two, for example, in this case, like of a 24 pack. So in terms of like the automated inspections, how that can help. So the automated inspection is going to be able to, we can set up to be able to read the barcodes and then make sure it's the right product that is running on the line and according to the schedule. And also there are some systems that can check the amount of cans as well, just to make sure it's going to stop the line or reject the package if something is missing.
Definitely. And when it comes to challenges, since a lot of these are shrink wrapped, they're often coming out of the outfeed of a shrink tunnel of some sort. So if you have kind of labeled right after the shrink tunnel and you're looking to scan right there, you need to think about that shrink tunnel can't just stop, right? Like if you're looking to stop the line, if it's the wrong thing, you got to allow that system to discharge all of the product kind of within it. So there's some integration pieces there. You know, if you're interlocking with that type of equipment, that you really got to think through to make sure it's being done right. Another thing is around case sizes. So you know, we're showing a 24 pack here, but there could be smaller or larger packs that really vary in size, and so you want to make sure you're selecting the right hardware to get the right kind of field of view if you are inspecting that. You know, a label that can be placed anywhere on that pack. You want to make sure you're kind of seeing that whole pack. And then the piece that Fabio was talking about around missing cans, same thing, right? You want to make sure you have enough field of view so you can see all the cans and some way of knowing, you know, how feeding the system how many cans should be in that pack, so you can verify against that.
And then one last thing to talk about this, Cole, is basically like this. Normally, this type of UPC labels and the step of the process that in the beverage industry there is basically the last step before going to the palletizer and before going to the customer. So this is where we should have like automated inspections just to make sure the packs are going always in the same way with the racked pack, and then not causing any quality issues when going outside of the door.
Absolutely.
Okay, the next one here is the this is more specific for the bottle bottle lines, and then like bottle fillers, labelers, and sleevers. So points of failures here: wrong label, wrong bottle, and then sometimes wrong bottle. I saw this happening like few times. Sometimes they're scheduled to run like a clear bottle, and then like a green bottle or another color of bottle came like into the line, and then it's really hard to detect, especially for the speed that we were talking about. Missing labels, as I said, because of the speed, is really hard to detect when somebody is looking for. Barcode not legible, and then mixed labels into the same row from the supplier, for example. So automated inspections in this case is going to be able to see in a live view, and then be able to stop and reject if there's an issue.
And the challenges we see here are very similar to the can filler, really, right? You're dealing with this similar rotary system where super high speeds. So you got to think about hardware selection stuff. But as you mentioned, like rejects, if you are looking to install some kind of new reject, there's some serious architecting that needs to go into how you do that because of how high the speeds are, right? Or even a line stop. These machines need time to ramp up and ramp down. So it's not like you're just stopping these things on a dime. So that really needs to be thought through, you know, when putting in some kind of system that interlocks and prevents these packaging errors. Another key thing around the labeling side is you often see a large variety of labels. You know, bottles, depending if it's glass or PET, but you could see different size bottles, right? Which ends up being different size labels. So we see different size heights of labels, widths of labels. You know, same thing going back to the packers as well, talking about all the different graphics, right? From different brands. You could have different colors, different barcode locations. It's kind of the same thought process. But again, it's taking that holistic approach and making sure you get a understanding of that whole, you know, the whole possibility of labels that the inspection system can see, knowing that ahead of time so that it's designed properly for all those scenarios.
All right. And then next one here is the keg line and bag-in-box. So it's not very common, but it's important to mention that there are some automatic inspections here that's can help that part. And in terms of point of failures, so wrong keg type, specifically for one province here in Canada, they specifically ask for like a type of keg to their stores. So if there's a mistake there, they're not going to accept, or they're going to send the load back. That's like a big cost related to that issue. The other type of failure is like wrong label or wrong information. Another one is the wrong cap. So some of the beverage industries, they only identify their keg based on the cap. So you're going to be able only to differentiate the brand and the keg based on the cap. So it's very critical to have something to inspect these kegs before going to the final customer. Otherwise, we're going to be serving the wrong product to the final customer. And then the last one here is the barcode not legible. And then, yeah, automated inspection systems basically going to help to verify keg types, validate like inkjet codes for traceability, ensure proper cap placement, and then like make sure it's the right cap as well for the product that is being filled.
And when we're inspecting things like a date code, we're using what's called OCR or OCV, where you're actually verifying the characters kind of within that code. But a big challenge we see with that is generally around print quality and printers, not printing the best quality codes. Maybe they're not being kept up on maintenance, or maybe it's just a really old system that, it has kind of lost its quality over time. So print quality is a big challenge we see. And oftentimes to do a successful OCR or OCV implementation, you have to upgrade your printers because the print quality doesn't kind of meet that standard. Another challenge around Fabio was talking about the caps and caps being different for different brands. Generally, those caps don't have any kind of identifiable barcode or anything you can scan. So in that case, if you want a way to verify what cap is on and relate it to a brand, you have to kind of take a different approach. So we've done things like pattern matching or classification to tie that to that unique cap to a particular brand. Yeah.
Great. And then finally, pouch line. As I mentioned before, pouch line is trending up, is kind of growing, especially on the alcoholic industry, beverage industry. So I think it's important to mention here as well. So points of failure for the pouch for a pouch line: wrong pouch flavor, wrong pouch size, wrong cap, barcodes not legible, and mixed labels from the supplier. And then, as I said, it's kind of same for the keg line. Automated system can help to check all of this and make sure we reject the wrong pouch or possible way errors there.
And very similar challenge in the terms of printed codes that you're reading. Print quality comes down to, again, for pouches. I think generally it's not so much inkjet, but maybe laser jet on the pouches, if I'm not mistaken. But still, you need to make sure that print quality is there. And then the other piece is around seal inspection. Seal inspection is possible, but not always. There's might be certain situations, depending on the equipment or some other factor, where it's just not going to be a possible visual inspection to do. But something to consider in that, seen before, prior to like burst testing or something to that effect.
Switching gears here a bit. So let's talk about timing now. So in the beverage industry, like obviously the peak season is in the summertime. So as you can see in the graphic, like the beverage industry is like ramping up and then building inventory starting in April, and then the peak seasons like July, August, and then kind of decreasing after, like, during fall and winter. So especially because of the speed and the way that they run, like normally they run like 24/7, most of the lines. So they have to do machine overhauls, and in these machine overhauls, basically they have to replace most of the parts, like for example in a filler, like a filler valves or seamer, like seamer heads and everything, they have to replace every year. And they have normally these overhauls twice a year, and normally it's the one in the winter, one in the fall. So here's basically the opportunity that we have to install new equipment and then do some like improvements on the line in terms of like automated systems to avoid quality mistakes. So the idea here is just to leverage non-peak season to install new automated system and make improvements. So the best way to do is just to plan ahead and then make sure you use these machine overhauls to install these equipments. Just a few things to keep in mind when you're planning to do this. So hardware lead time normally takes like 10 to 12 weeks. So based on the list here, we have like electrical panels, cameras, scanners, photo eye, reject mechanism that you need to keep in mind, that you need to account for in terms of lead time as well. When you're planning to do this installation on the fall and winter, there's another considerations that we should talk about. So alignment with the organization. So basically, all the management of change internally, when you're adding an automated system, it's really important to talk about this. And then make sure the stakeholders on like, for example, operations, quality, and even marketing, they are aligned, and make sure they are aware of these automated systems. Just should not make like a change, and this is going to affect the system that they're already in place. So the second one here is our IT infrastructure. So basically, most of these items that we discussed, the automated items, they require like a servers or some kind of IT like requirements that we should discuss in advance. Setting requirements, what kind of requirements that you're going to have into your line, to what are you going to be scanning, what are you going to be visual checking, and then all these things. And then the last one is basically the preliminary engineer. So the preliminary engineer is like a very important step to make sure everything that we're going to put it in place and execution time we are seeing previously, and we're going to be able to avoid any mistakes, and then be able to have like a install and then a commissioning without any problems.
And that's definitely a key piece. Just looking back at all the different systems we were talking about, and each inspection is slightly different and kind of tailored to each of those different scenarios. So that's where the preliminary engineering is really critical, because that's what allows you to gather that information to kind of tailor those systems accordingly. Okay, so let's do our final poll here. What are the key benefits you would expect from increased automation in your packaging operations? OEE impacts, reduce cost of quality, eliminate waste, decrease labor, or other. These are all, valid benefits, obviously, but understanding which is the most important kind of helps you prioritize what you're looking to do. So, okay, so eliminate waste. Got a couple answers there. OEE impacts.
OEE impacts. Yeah.
Yeah. And decrease labor. Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so let's just wrap up with some key takeaways here. So first of all, understand your current state, right? Are there improvements to be made, and be honest about your current capabilities and vulnerabilities. Secondly, understand your requirements. Is this driven internally, externally? The approach might be different, but the urgency could very well be the same. So yeah, good to know where the drive is coming from. Third, understand your points of failure. What are your technical challenges, and how do you overcome them? Each line is different, and solutions, might need to be tailored kind of accordingly. Even two pieces of, two cartoners that might look identical on the outside, the approaches to them could be different and need to be tailored that way. Fourth, take advantage of seasonal downtime. Plan ahead to hit these key maintenance or overhaul windows when installation won't disrupt production. And then fifth, pick the right partners, right? Work with companies that have knowledge and insight and address your specific issues. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the presentation portion. Yeah, we'd love to answer some of your questions now. So please use the chat function while we're waiting for questions here as they come in. I just want to emphasize that every facility is different. Kind of what we shared today are general principles, common challenges, but each specific situation might require more of a customized approach. Also remember, the cost of doing nothing is often higher than the cost of implementing some of these systems. So a single recall can cost you financially and damage your brand for years. If you don't have questions right now, feel free to reach out to info@grantek.com, the email there, or connect with Fabio or I on LinkedIn. We're always happy to discuss specific challenges and how we might be able to help you out. Okay. Looks like we got a question in. Okay, so yeah, I'll just read this question aloud. You mentioned planning for seasonal downtime, but our maintenance windows are very short, maybe a couple weeks. Is that enough time to install and commission an inspection system, or should we look at phased installations? Yeah, that's definitely dependent on complexity and the number of systems being installed, right? Like installing one inspection system on one line versus 20 across multiple lines is obviously going to be different answers, but no, I think a couple weeks is actually a pretty solid window, and often I don't think we often see much more than that, to be honest.
Sorry. The regular overhaul is like 1 or 2 weeks per year, and then we are using that time for sure to implement those systems, and then we've been successful on doing that. So yeah, it depends of the complexity. If you want to do like the full package, probably gonna have to split, but if you're looking to implement like the regular package, for sure 1 or 2 weeks is more than enough time to do that.
And something else to note too, the bigger part of the downtime that's required is for like the electrical, the mechanical installation pieces more so, which some of that can be pre-work, right? Like some of that could be if it's conduit runs or wire pulls, bracket fabrication, things like that. That could be done as pre-work, kind of ahead of your downtime window. And then when it actually comes to commissioning some of these systems, we actually prefer systems to be running at the point where the electrical mechanical install is done, the equipment's all in place and IO checked. At that point, we want the system to be running because we're actually trying to tune the system and make sure it's fine-tuned and running kind of peak performance. So that's just something to note, where we actually look for an overlap between that downtime window and actual production startup.
Okay. Gonna read the second one here, Cole.
Sure.
Our facility run multiple packages lines with different speeds and format products. Can these inspection systems handle the variety, or do we need separate solutions for each line?
Yeah, I guess we kind of touched on this, I guess, a bit earlier, just going over the different machines, I guess, right, and talking about graphics and packaging formats and things. But yeah, no, each solution definitely needs to be tailored slightly for the different equipment or product that you might be looking at scanning. Grantek. Go ahead, Fabio.
Sorry, that I was just saying, like, that's why it's very important to have like the prelim engineer done ahead of time to be able to identify these differences in speed, package formats, and different types of equipment as well.
And we say tailor, per machine, but there are a lot of similarities, like cartoners across the board, or your fillers across the board. We from our experience, we generally follow some very similar approaches, right? There might be small differences, but the main kind of approach that we're taking is pretty consistent from machine to machine, so or product to product. So yeah, coming in with that kind of expertise too is definitely great. I think we got one more there, Fabio, that I see. I'll read it.
Okay.
How do other facilities handle the challenge of training new operators on packaging quality procedures? We have high turnover and retraining is tough. Okay. Good question. It's definitely having automated inspection systems are definitely a benefit for that, I would say, right? Because automate versus like a manual inspection, if you had operators doing some kind of manual inspection for some of these failure points we discussed, they'd have to be trained on that. Whereas the automated inspection systems, they're instead doing that work, that inspection, where the operators in that case, they would have to be trained on how to use the inspection system. Generally, a lot simpler training. We're talking about, understanding how to change SKUs or reset some alarms and things like that, not necessarily understanding, how to check the quality of different products. Does that make sense to you, Fabio? I think that.
Yeah, no, especially having like a newer operator in a line, the chances are for like a mistake, especially related to quality, it's like way higher than like experienced operator that is doing that activity for years. So having an automated inspection system going to give you like some flexibility to move operators around and have new operators on your line without having much impact in terms of quality.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Okay, do you see any more questions? I think that was it.
No, I think that's it.
Okay, and we're at 57 minutes. Yeah, 12:57.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, I think that's a good place to end it there. Then, thanks everyone for attending. All the registered attendees, you will be sent a recording of the session. So you will receive that. And then, yeah, any other questions, that email right there, info@grantech.com, feel free to email it that way, or like I said before, reach out to Fabio and I on LinkedIn. We're always happy to talk. So thanks again, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good one. Take care.